However, yes, when it is needed to cause splitting, we need to split between the haqq wal batil. Can't say between the batil wal haqq. We don't unite upon batil, wal iyadu billah. We're not ikhwani or tablighis. No, we are al-sunnati wal jama'ah, al-hadith wal athar, salafiyun. People that follow the way of the salaf, the Quran, the sunnah. If you think we have problem in aqidah, come forward. Your ex-colleague, ice cream boy, he said you are a cult. So when I ask him what is the proof for that, because the cult make it tabdi' now. Now, oh my son, Ibn Mansour, you make tabdi' on us. You say we are hizb. So can you tell us which scholars call us hizbis? That we are hizb because all of them are against me and against Salafis. Why? Because I'm messing their plan. What is their plan? All of them, they are upon this wave of promoting young brothers as a shuyukh and bringing the Muslims to refer to them.
We are not blind to your reality. Barakallahu feekum. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide you. If we catch you in this masjid calling to those types of usul of the mubtadi'ah, the Ahlul Bid'ah, and cooperating with Ahlul Bid'ah, and sitting with Ahlul Bid'ah, and talking to Ahlul Bid'ah, and taking money from Ahlul Bid'ah, whilst you attack Ahlul Sunnah that this is from the manhaj of Shaykh Rabi' or Shaykh bin Baz or Al-Albani or Muqbil. This is you trying to spread shubahat in our masjid. But alhamdulillah, our shabab in this masjid will not tolerate that type of, or those types of doubts and those types of shubahat. Right? If you are caught, then you'll be dealt with and you'll be challenged.
The Salafi of SP, the bid'ah that they're on, where they have qulub and connecting the people with, it's me against the world, it's us against the world. We are against the world. The Martians are going to get us. The people always have to have this frame of mind. Us against the world. We are the
So
Salafis.
Usually when we say the word cult, people think, oh, he's talking about Scientology or Jonestown or the Moonies or Jehovah's Witnesses or some crazy outlandish fringe conspiracy theorist groups out there that believe crazy things and do crazy things that have nothing to do with me and have nothing to do with my organization, nothing to do with my business, nothing to do with my religion, nothing to do with my sports team or anything like that. While most organizations in mainstream society would not be classified technically as a cult, if you're going to pose the sort of binary yes or no question to it, they will still exhibit a lot of the subcomponents, and that can be extremely useful to see. And every major religion has its own cults that shoot off from it. One of the trickeries with the word cult is that in the mainstream usage of this word, there's a common mainstream mistake that's made, which is to think that, well, if I'm not part of some fringe ideological group, if I'm not in a cult, that means I'm safe. That means the things that I believe and my views of reality are basically true and correct. And that's not at all the case here. The defining characteristics of cult-like behavior is stereotyping, judging, and devaluing outsiders. This is like the epitome of cult dynamics. And there's a lot of subcomponents to this one subcomponent. So let's cover the subcomponents of this one subcomponent. So if you notice, when human beings come together in a group, we tend to develop a sort of herd mentality. And we start to stereotype and judge and devalue outsiders. And this stereotyping and judging and devaluation becomes very addictive. And it takes on a life of its own. It takes on a reality of its own. There's always an in-group and an out-group that's created. Us versus them. We're the good guys, they're the bad guys. And once that dynamic or duality is created, then a lot gets built around that to reinforce that and make it seem very real until people buy into it. So in a cult, usually what's denied is that interpretation is happening at all. A point of view is presented within a cult as though it's not a point of view at all, as though there was no interpretation, as though it's just factual, just the facts. Notice that the more cult-like an organization is, the more self-righteousness it will exhibit, and the more certainty it will have in its actions and behaviors and in its doctrines. Another subcomponent of cults is that they love to emotionally manipulate and control people. They love to intimidate, to charm, to seduce, to withhold approval and love, to shower people with disapproval and scorn, to ridicule them, to humiliate them, finding ways to squeeze them, to pressure them, to leverage them, to put them into an impossible position. Because this is what low consciousness egos do, is they behave this way. So notice how much your organization does this. Your company, your boss, your religious leaders, your managers, your political leaders. The more they do this, the less consciously developed they are. Right? Because the whole point of this cult or this group is that it's trying to create its own sense of identity. So oftentimes the best way to do that is to split off from some larger group, create yourself, but then of course, because you're small, you're still small, you're not as big as the mama bacteria, you're still small, and you want to kind of assert yourself in the world. And so the way that you do that, because you're small and you're insecure and all this, is that you actually attack the thing that you came from. And of course, a lot of children do this with parents too. That's why children rebel against parents. That's why teenagers do that, because they want to establish their own sense of identity. And what's the fastest way to establish your own sense of identity? Demonizing some other group, and in your mind clearly drawing a line between this is what I represent and that evil stuff is what they represent. And of course, oftentimes what that is a projection of your own shadow into that other.
After 14 centuries of deviation that has spread and polluted the Ummah of Muhammad, Ahlul Sunnah have become small in number. Smaller and smaller and smaller. And the people of Bid'ah, they are great in number. And they are the ones who make us seem as if we are the ones who have gone to excesses and exaggeration. I could fill many volumes of how the early scholars, the Sahaba and those who came after them, how they would treat the people of Bid'ah, how they would banish them, boycott them, speak ill of them, humiliate them, even to the point of sending them to execution. All of them Bid'ah upon Bid'ah and misguidance. Whether it be Abu Usama, Abdul Rahim Green, Bilal Phillips, Yasir Qadi, Saeed Raqi, Abu Usama al-Dhahabi, doesn't bother us, Suhaib Hassan, Usama Hassan. Ahlul Sunnah are not harmed by those betrayers, the Mukhaddiloon, Ahlul Takhdhil, those who betray the deen of Allah, stand at the doors of Jahannam, selling their religion for a pittance.
Even to speak against their own brothers. Naam, that's again what show us the justice of Islam. You يا كذاب. نعم. الله ينقى الشيخ إمام محمد آمن الجميع. You كذاب. نعم. الله يميك التوبة الله سبحانه وتعالى. الله ينقى العلماء في السنة. Mufti Munir is here. So that's what you want me to do. Pull out the flag and say, hey, Munir. Like, who's Munir to me? He's Nakira. He's not one. What are you telling me?